Everything is stock, all stickers, everything is here. If it's not, I made sure it was. Yeah. And I went to long lengths for stuff like this because it's got Japanese writing on it. That's the way it was. Yep. That's a new thermostat cap, but it's not a new sticker, if you know what I mean. Here's how, what is it, purist, I guess you could call me. I had all these bushings. I replaced all this rubber in here, but I didn't want their aftermarket non-OEM nuts, so I threw them in the garbage and I used the nuts that came off of it. That's how into this shit I am. For the right buyer, I will cut them a deal. Okay, they came with automatic door locks. I put keyless entry, so it's got a remote. You can walk up to it, hit a remote. The other third upgrade, the stereo works. It's a 5-channel stereo. They don't exist anymore. Nobody can fix them. And if you get lucky and find one on eBay that still works, consider yourself extremely lucky. It's a 5-channel stereo with 5 speakers. One channel on that stereo works and one speaker in this whole car worked. Everything was all dry rotted out. So what I did, the speaker is what they call a 5-inch subwoofer. It's about that big, probably about 13 watts. It's running off the last remaining channel in that radio that works. So you can have AM radio buzzing around while you're cruising in your inline 6, hearing it whir. Or if you want, get that. That's the last upgrade. You can plug your cell phone into that and have real music. And then I'll say that. And of course you saw the 6x9s in the back. So it's not super loud, but it sounds damn good. All this, I built the box with matching carpet so that you can haul around your stuff without beating up the original carpet underneath. So the box matches the carpet on the speaker boxes, everything matches. And if you ever wanted to ditch it, this thing comes out in about 5 minutes. Everything comes out in about 5 minutes. All the stereo is all mounted to this box, so I didn't destroy anything original to the car. It can always go back to original.
Is this original?
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. This thing had everything, and when I picked it up about 3 years ago, this is what clued me in. I was cleaning it out, pulling all the seats out, pulling all the crap out of this car. I was throwing it out on the driveway and I saw this. Does anybody know what this is? Coat hanger hook. I went, wow, that matches the interior. And then I realized this car has got everything. Now here's the deal. Everybody listen carefully because you gotta follow me on this one. There were 2 types of cars, 2 types of these Supras. There was the P type, performance type, and there was the luxury edition, the L type. In Japan, okay, let's back up. The P type was offered here in the United States. It had the plastic fender flares, okay? That was not offered in Japan. That was strictly for the American market. However, they are stick-on plastic fender flares. This is the car that you got in Japan, but it did not come with these tires or wheels. This is the luxury edition of this car. And what that means is you get leather interior and you get the electronic funky looking 1982 dash that I guess they thought they were in spaceships or some shit, I don't know. Anyway, you get that, but also what you get is everything that made the performance type, which is the wheels and tires, I put on here. So this car is both. Without plastic fender flares. You got real fenders and you got the luxury and the performance type put into 2. What does that mean? Where did the tires and wheels go? They're sitting in my shed. Whoever buys this car gets those wheels and tires that came originally on this car also, which have also been refurbished. And the tires are, God, they had like 15,000 miles on them. They got no miles on them. Not even that probably. So that's the story on this whole car. I did add this because it was an option. It's not a spoiler. It's called a sun visor or a sun shield for the back seat. I put that on. That was hard to find, but I got it on there because I wanted that option. But other than that, it has 0 rust. There is 0. Oh, there was one thing wrong with it. I'll admit, 99.5% restored. I can't find that plastic vent. And when I find that vent, that's 100%. Just like it came out of the factory, except better because of the wheels and tires and the stereo.
So
there you have it.
What's your name again? I'm sorry.
Mike.
So my friend Joel back up in Fort Collins, he's obsessed with these Celica Supras. He probably had 4 or 5 of these things, and he showed me this Craigslist post a couple days ago. He said, yo, this guy in Colorado Springs found this awesome looking Celica Supra. And I was like, yo, I gotta go check it out. Because my dad had one growing up. I never appreciate it.
When I was 15, this car came out in this color, and I saw it on a West Texas highway going down a gravel road, and I fell in love, and it was about 3 times more money than I was able to afford, so I forgot about it until 3 years ago when my 15-year-old son found the exact same car in our neighborhood, and I said, if that dash is intact, we're taking that car, and we got it. And I've been restoring it ever since.
So I reached out to Mike.
I know how you feel. I know where you're coming from.
I know. So I reached out to Mike, Craigslist. I was like, man, this guy's probably don't think I'm a crazy guy. Just wanted to take photos of the car driving all the way down from Denver to Colorado Springs.
It's
but
a good thing you sent your website, because I checked your website. I checked your workout, and then I knew you were real.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So, but unfortunately, he has to sell this car because moving to Mexico.
I'm moving to Mexico, and they do not let cars in that were not made in North America. This car was made in Japan. Really. Real Japan. Not like my Toyota Tacoma that's going down with me. It is a solid truck, no doubt, but when you start working on cars like this, for example, I'm getting off on a tangent, but
that's all good.
Back in the 80s and 90s, apparently Japan had a lot of money, and they just kind of let their engineers run wild, and that's where you get the 2JZ out of the 90s. Well, they did stuff like angling the screws, so you didn't have to poke a hole in your window to take a screw out. Well, the screw is angled, so you could just put it in, take it out, and when you start tearing apart this car, you're like, this thing was built by people that were actually thinking about what they were doing, instead of slamming these Chevy trucks together that break down, in 100,000 miles. I don't know if you know that about Chevy, but they're designed to break down at 100,000. These are not designed to break down. All this car needed was a little TLC. I didn't do anything major to it. Compression is awesome on this car. It runs outstanding. It sounds badass, and it's got.
I think you got.
I know who he is. I know who he is. It's got 150,000 miles on it, and it still runs. The compression is like in the 170s, so it's like all of them. Yeah, and you know it when you drive it.
Yeah.
Clutch is, I'd say it's about half.
Yeah.
You still got about half left on it. I don't drive it very often, and the clutch is pretty new, and I probably put 8,000 or 10,000 miles on it. So do the math. I mean,
right. Well,
it's a Sunday driver for me.
It's a beautiful car, man, and
thanks.
Whoever.
One other thing.
Pick this up, it's gonna be.
I forgot to tell you. You also get the floor mats, the original floor mats. Now, I did the best I could. If you look around, you can't buy reproductions. You can't buy originals. They don't exist. However, 3D printing is coming out, people. It's already out. You can print those rubber floor mats. I have them in my shed. You also get the rubber floor mats, but I did the best I could reproducing them with Toyota embroidered on there, like the originals. Actually, like the 3rd gens. Right. So this is the only thing that's not original, but the originals are in my shed, and they're kind of beat up. They need to be printed again on a 3D printer, and somebody get rid of these. I'll pay $400 just for these mats. Get rid of those and put the originals back in. Now you're 100% OEM.
Yeah.
But I did what I could,
Right.
But I go to the extreme. I'm all about stock. You can paint these cars, and the OEM paint is gone forever, ever. Don't do it. Keep the stock paint. Keep everything stock. Then one day they'll be worth something, and they'll be museum-ready cars.
I mean, for a car being 40 years old, original paint, this is just amazing, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it took a lot of TLC with the paint. There was a couple of little dings I had to do, little patch jobs, but wasn't anything major. In fact, right here, if you look on the front of it, see the 40 years worth of rock chips? I think it adds character. I don't know, the next guy can decide to repaint it or whatever, but to me, it's not a concourse car, and I don't want a concourse car because I want to be able to drive it. So if we got sandblasted coming up here, I was like, we probably got a couple more rock chips, but it was fun as hell driving it up here. You get to take pictures of it, and who cares? It's a driving car, but it's stock.
And to a lot of people, they probably think it's crazy to bring a car out to a place like this where a whole bunch of dirt and stuff. But
we bought our Duster out here.
Yeah.
But
it looks fresh, man, and that's the thing, man. You enjoy driving a car and having it, and hopefully the next owner will appreciate that too, and drive it how it's supposed to be driven.
I can't even remember the last time I brought this car out when somebody didn't stop me and go, "Oh my God, blah 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 blah." I always get stopped. When you see the license plate, that also sparks up. If you know anything about country music, Dolly Parton wrote a song called Jolene, and the song is about another woman stealing her man with red hair. My girlfriend says I'm always out in the garage with this car. You start to figure out what's going on here, so I thought, well, I'm going to name the car Jolene then.
That's awesome.
And now you understand. But you can pull those off when you own it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Mike, I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, Nam.
And you know, good luck with trying to, you know, find the next right owner for it. That's the hardest part, I think.
Exactly.
Not the money.
It
it's
isn't.
just finding the right home for it.
It really isn't. If I could take this car down to Mexico, I still wouldn't do it, because this car it deserves better than to sit in a garage with all that hot and humidity and just sitting there and rotting. I want it to stay in a dry state like Colorado and not go out in the hail, driven on Sundays if the weather's right, because this car deserves it.
Yeah.
Funny story. I'm the 4th owner. The 3rd owner only owned it for like 2 years, the guy that we bought it from. In the 36 years before he owned it, somehow it avoided the hail. He was military. He was going down. He woke up one morning and got sick. That was the same day that all the Army bases got destroyed by that hailstorm about 3 years ago. And I mean, wiped out all the buildings, all the cars, everything. He was sick at home, and this car sat in the garage.
Wow, you got lucky.
It lived to fight another day, so this car deserves the best.
Yeah.
And I want the best of that. So I'll work with anybody. Give me a holler, man.
So, yeah, just kick it off, man. So,
Oh, am I on camera
yeah,
now?